a Stanford graduate and you wanted to pursue a career in content creation. How did your family react to this?
I just can't think of a better industry that is going to be more impactful.
Who should not get into content creation? Are you an SOP guy? Do people confuse you and your brother?
You know, people say New York Times is very accurate, but the European kid has filmed videos with Carlos Sainz and Jake Paul and gone to Mongolia, and I'm like, oh, those are old my videos.
Do you believe you're successful today?
Well, I mean, I am successful, but I don't feel satisfied.
What is the definition of viral content for you?
Elon Musk is probably one of the best content creators out there.
He creates news, not content. If you had to choose 5 places to travel and learn, what would those 5 places be? What's your vision in 10 years from now?
I work like a sniper with a shotgun, you know? Boom.
Today's episode is about a content creator whose niche was amalgamating technology with wit and humor. I am talking about Jason Yeager, popularly known as MyTechCEO, based out of California, US. Tech has always been boring. That's what I used to believe until I bumped into this gentleman by the name of Jason Yeager. Let's ask from him what's his story.
My story is I grew up in Europe, and I was a founder early on. In high school, I did a program with MIT, and we secured some early stage funding for a startup, and I was excited by startups ever since I was young. And long story short, I did a bunch of businesses, I built a bunch of things, but I think the thing that stuck the most was now doing content around tech. And there's a lot there, but that is the TLDR of my story.
So at what stage in your life did you think that yes, tech, yes, humor, content creation?
I think tech was when I started understanding more about tech and just seeing the level of impact. I mean, the reason why I'm convinced about tech is, one, I find it really interesting, but two, it's like there is no other industry you can go to me and tell me this industry is not only having an impact on the world that is extremely significant and will continue to have a significant impact. I mean, you see all these technologies that are now emerging and combining together to create like exponential change. And so I just can't think of a better industry that is going to be more impactful than tech. And tech is very broad, of course, but I just think it's one of those industries.
So in a domain which is defined by what's your niche, you chose wit, humor and tech as your niche.
Yeah.
But in tech, you're talking cryptocurrency, you're talking AI, you're talking new age technologies, cloud security and everything as well.
Sure.
So how do you reach out to your prospective customers?
Well, I actually have them come to me because I think it's about building a brand, right? So with a lot of these customers, I built the brand that they see online and they're interested in buy it, right? Microsoft, AWS, some people I've worked with. I think I built a brand that they are fascinated by, and that's honestly one of the reasons I've even started the tech account. I think it was an underserved market. There wasn't a lot of content that appealed to tech enthusiasts and people in tech.
True.
And so I kind of reverse engineered. I was like, okay, well, how do I build an interesting brand where people want to come to me and get to know me? And tech comedy was one of those ways.
Let's say one of the tech companies, let's say a Google or a Microsoft, they approach you today. How do you react to that situation? What's your preparation before you reach that client site?
Well, I think it really depends on like what is that client reaching out about specifically. For example, with AWS, it was doing work with them around the Formula One, which they were one of the title sponsors of, and thinking about how to create content that touches on engaging content that touches on the tech in Formula One that they're powering, right? So for example, how does AWS help process the millions of data points that come from the F1 cars that are generated per second? How does AWS process that? Or how does AWS tech help empower the sport and create data insights, right? So it's really looking at, okay, what are the specific problems these clients have? And then I think about, okay, how am I the best person to help them deliver that problems? So just some insight there on a specific case, for example.
Humor is very sensitive. How do you ensure you do not cross the line of humor to be insensitive to your audience?
Well, I think you have a sense of when you're becoming a little bit insensitive. I try to avoid certain topics too, like very political topics, or I think that the key as a creator when you're creating entertaining content is entertaining content can be funny without having to necessarily be offensive onto someone. If anything,
Yeah.
I'm trying to place a joke on myself.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, for example, pretend I'm overly analytical about a specific situation. I'm the one who people are laughing at. I'm not trying to place a joke on someone else and make someone look bad.
Yeah.
So it's about being creative and being conscious of, am I doing something that is targeted towards towards someone that might be misinterpreted, or am I putting the joke on me and people are aware of that?
A Stanford graduate and you wanted to pursue a career in content creation. How did your family react to this?
Well, I think it's a very untraditional route. So I don't think my family necessarily saw it. I think my family had a lot of different ideas and plans. I think even my mom at some point asked me, how about that cybersecurity job, huh?
Yeah.
Which is, maybe
California is full of them.
Absolutely, a lot of cybersecurity. I mean, cybersecurity is a very important industry. It's increasingly becoming even more important, as I'm sure you're aware of being
True.
in that space. But I think they were very also understanding,
Okay.
and I think I explained to them my thesis, my logic, why do I do what I do.
So that's what. So you knew the business case. You knew how you had to achieve your goals by talking to your parents. So you presented a business case to them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I presented a business case. I showed to them that, look, I'm able to figure this out. I have no problem. I can support myself. I can make this happen. Here's where I am right now. And I just, I presented them the case.
So
Exactly.
having another content creator as your brother in the house, does
Yeah.
it help? Or are you both very competitive on your last posted video?
It definitely helps. It definitely helps. I think my brother got me into creating more content.
Okay.
He started an account that is pretty mainstream right now. It's a lot of people have seen it. And actually, I started that account with him. So we did content together. But what I realized very quickly was the power of building a funny character around on the internet. And specifically, I was thinking to myself, okay, how do you take this style of content that is really effective,
True.
that is going really viral, and how do you apply that into another industry? So with the tech account, I was thinking to myself, okay, we have this account that's working really well. This isn't, in this case, the European kid. If you watch TikTok, Instagram, maybe you've seen it. It's like a rich French European kid character. But it's basically taking that style of content and applying it to the tech space with the tech character. So I was seeing the power of content with him already, how fast he was able to grow his account, how many brands. He also does a lot of brand sponsorships. He's worked with some very impressive brands, mostly luxury brands, Moncler, private jet companies. So it was also very, very impressive what he was able to do. And then I was like, okay, there's a huge opportunity, I think, in tech to do a similar thing. So yeah.
A lot of people believe the short form content is the way to go in the future. Do you agree to this?
Yes, because I think that, unfortunately, people's attention spans are becoming shorter and shorter.
True.
And I think that podcasting has been a form that has been working very well, and I think it will continue to work well. But I think that if you are really good at creating short form content, you will grow a little bit faster than if you're just a long form. In general, I think.
Yeah, I agree to you. I agree to your logic as well. What brings you to Middle East?
I spend time here because I think it's good I have a lot of relationships and people I know here in the Middle East. And I also think it's a fantastic place to get content. I've done a lot of skits in Dubai. So I don't always know exactly why, but I always end up in Dubai, and more so than I would have thought. Like this, I think this is my 4th time in Dubai this year. But it's really a mixture also of conferences as well. I think last time we came, there was a conference here, a crypto conference. So a variety of reasons.
You spoke about a vision, right? That you had a vision when you started this journey.
Yeah.
You had a vision as a child when you wanted to grow up and do something amazing in California.
Yeah.
Now, what's your vision in 10 years from now?
I think in 10 years from now, it's to build as big of a brand as possible. I think we're seeing the explosion of businesses around brands, right?
Yeah.
I think a good example of this, and this is someone I look up to, is Brian Johnson. I don't know
Okay.
if you know him, but like he's the guy who's trying to reverse his age.
Yeah.
The tech
Yeah.
the tech guru, the biohacker, I'd say.
Yeah.
He is interesting because he has a brand and he's
Yeah.
building all these businesses around it.
Yeah.
Don't Die Summit.
Don't
he
Die
has,
Summit,
he also has the Blueprint, which is all these like this diet that you can go
Yeah.
on. It's interesting, right? Now I don't know if that's necessarily the future of all businesses, but I think a large part of businesses is building a brand so that you can more easily connect with people. And I think in the future, I want to build as strong of a brand as possible and build as many businesses around it as possible too.
So we speak of something called an SOP for everything that you work on.
Yeah.
Right? Are you an SOP guy? Are you a process-oriented guy?
Definitely. I may not use the word SOP too much, but I think constantly about systems.
Yeah.
I also think for me the thing I think the most about these days is talent.
Yeah.
How do you find the best talent? You know, like in my case, for example, it's very hard because I have very specific things I need to systemize it and outsource in a certain sense, right?
Yeah.
For example, when I'm creating a viral video, I have to think of a really good concept.
Yeah.
Okay, most of the times I'm coming up with a concept, but how do I get other people to help me come up with a concept?
Can you find a good editor to edit your content and make it look the same way?
For example, that is a huge thing I'm thinking about right now. And honestly, I hope I can, but it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard because also with my case, it's like, am I going to find a good editor that understands my niche tech jokes?
Yeah.
Or they're not going to understand. So it's tricky. It's tricky. I have the cash. The cash is not the problem. The problem is, can you find the good talent, or can you find young, ambitious talent that you can train and will become really good?
And what's the guarantee that once you train, they'll stay with you?
That's true. We don't know. That's where you have to be a good leader.
Yeah.
And show them they have more to earn, or maybe they come for a period of time. I think a lot about collaborating too. I don't think of it as I'm stealing you, you're coming here. I'm thinking about it as, what is your goal? How do I help you get to that goal?
Yeah.
How do you also help me accomplish my goal? That is also partly what you want to do too.
Any content creator or a content creation company, the one thing which they want to keep intact in gold mines, wrapped in cotton, is actually the editors.
Editors,
We were sitting with one of the largest content creators in India.
Okay.
Out of a team of 85 people, 45 of them were just editors, short form and long form.
Really? Wow.
They had a different team for short form, different team for long form. But all 45 of them, half of the organization was just the editors, because they help you rehash the content from just one podcast episode could actually mean 11 reels for them.
Interesting.
And they use a strategy called the machine gun strategy.
Okay.
Which meant that from one video, you don't wait for one video to post every day, once in the morning, once in the evening. You just bombard all the platforms at the same time, and it seems to work for them.
Interesting. So you're telling me they're just going out and pumping content?
Keep on pumping the content.
I mean, I think that is the best way to go. I think, especially nowadays with the algorithms on, especially platforms like Instagram and also Twitter, it's just about like how much content you're pumping out. And it doesn't even have to be great content. If the algorithm sees that you're putting out a lot of content, I think it's generally good for you.
It's generally good for you.
It's a tough thing to do sometimes, because like as a content creator, sometimes I don't know when to post something. Like a lot of times I might be too of a perfectionist of like, I don't think this is a good post to post. But sometimes it is good to post it because the algorithm just sees your posting consistently.
Yeah, true. So you work like a sniper instead of a machine gun.
Sure. I work like a sniper. I work like a sniper with a shotgun. So I really get the target. You know, boom.
Is this how you got in touch with Jake Paul as well?
Actually, that was very like spontaneous. I was friends with someone that is Jake Paul's business partner, and we met up in New York early. It was morning, and he just like I think he instantly liked me. He had been watching my content. This is again one of the benefits of having a brand, right? The leverage is almost, that was like a sniper moment, right? Like I didn't have to convince him of anything. Like he had seen my content, he was impressed. But he basically told me, he's like, hey, Jake Paul is going to be in the Hamptons later today. We're doing a fundraising event for his new company W. And then I show up with him. He's like taking a helicopter, like an executive helicopter to the Hamptons. I get a ride with him, I fly to the Hamptons, and I'm there with Jake Paul. Jake Paul has seen, I think, some of the content that my brother has done.
Okay.
And then we shoot a video. So I guess you could say it was a sniper moment, but it was also a moment of like, you build a good brand, and then the right opportunities will come to you, and you just got to jump on them. So,
do people sometimes confuse you and your brother
all
for
the
your
time,
identity?
all the time.
Are you twins?
I am. We're twins. The thing is, I say I'm the European kid too. Like, the truth is, I've shot a lot of European kid videos. There was a New York Times article that came out recently about my brother, and it's funny because I don't think New York Times realizes that we're twins. So they people say New York Times is very accurate, but they failed to mention that he had a twin brother, and I didn't want them to mention it because I want to build a very separate brand.
Yeah.
But it's funny because they were saying the European kid has filmed videos with Carlos Sainz and Jake Paul and gone to Mongolia, and I'm like, oh, those are all my videos. I want to build a very separate brand, and I'm super happy to see him like get this New York Times article. I'm sure the tech account will get a New York Times article very soon too. But yeah, just to that point.
Looking at your journey till now, do you believe you're successful today?
Well, I mean, I am successful, but I don't view myself as like as where I want to be. So I don't feel satisfied. Even more traditional like people that would view me as like doing a different route, they're like, huh, he's took an interesting route, but like he's just as successful as someone else who is, and maybe now we're talking monetary wise, but like he's just as successful as someone who would have done investment banking or management consulting, right? Like, truth is, I make, and this is not to flex, I make more, if not just as much, more money than your typical investment banker or consultant from this very different line of business. Not a lot of tech comedy creators, right? I think it's always important to remain excited for what you want to do.
Content creation as a journey means a lot of patience is needed in that process.
Yeah.
Where do you find your peace and patience?
I'm very impatient sometimes, to be honest with you.
Is it because of your being addicted to being perfect?
I think it's like the desire to grow faster.
Yeah.
I want to grow fast, because growing fast feels like I'm moving. Like I want to feel like I have like a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
With everything I do. So the faster I get to grow, the better.
Do you sometimes feel that there are too many thoughts in your mind which impacts your rate of speech to be faster than normal?
Yeah, I think sometimes that's the case. I think sometimes it helps to almost do the opposite of like doing, and to meditate and to have a very aware mind and to be very focused on one specific thing and simplifying things. I think people very quickly get overwhelmed by things. And I think that if you have a good strategy and you have good ideas, sometimes the best thing you can do is take a step back. Yeah. To take a breath, to be very like mindful and slow and focused.
Your brother took, let's say, 5 years to reach 1 million followers.
2 years.
2 years?
Like very little time, 2.5 years. Yeah.
So what's your target to achieve 1 million followers in terms of number of months?
I think by the end of next year.
Okay.
So 2025.
And if there is somebody sitting in California right now, or in Belgium, or in Hong Kong, or in Taiwan, and they want to start their journey on content creation and have exponential growth, what are the few key elements they should have in their attitude?
Well, I think the first thing I would say real quick is they have to be clear about their goal, because content creation for the sake of just doing content creation, especially if you're not doing something in the tech space, is you need to be very clear about the end goal. In my case, I'm also lucky to be in a space where, and obviously like content is not my main source of revenue, but like I make revenue from content by itself because of the value of my audience. But it's very clear, it's very important to say, like, anyone who does content, you're not going to make money from content.
It's just a tool.
It's a tool, exactly. And so if you're very clear about, like, I have this results I'm looking for content, or maybe I want to improve my business in this way, and I think this content will generally help that long term, then good. But to answer your question, I think which was the best way to get started, I think honestly the best way to get started is to think about a good concept, to think about what your unique skill sets are. Everyone has very different unique skill sets. I think if someone, for example, tried to copy what I do and they're not a very good actor, it would be very hard and cringy to watch their content. Maybe that would go viral. I don't know. I don't think so. But I think it's think about what you're good at and then experiment. Just try things. Like you're gonna learn way faster than trying things as opposed to thinking about something.
A lot of people who are in content creation say that 80% of your content has to be rehashed and 20% should be your personality in your content. The rehashed content should be from things which have already worked.
Okay.
20% is your personality, the experiments you're doing.
Yeah.
And 80% of the content is things that have already worked. You have a history in that, you just give it your own spin to that and release that content, it'll always work.
You know what? There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
But I think also, the reason why I think there's some truth to that is because I think people are never really like, it's very important to showcase who you are in a brand. But if I think people are just totally spilling out exactly who they are without being conscious of the content they're putting out, I don't think people care as much. It's like it's about integrating yourself in content while also being engaging. And sometimes being engaging means finding things that you know for sure work in the past. So I think it's generally true. But I also wouldn't advise someone to necessarily then create scripts for their next video with the thought of I can only be 20% true and the rest is something else. I think just be thoughtful that more the main concept in that is, look, you should be thoughtful around what people want to watch.
Engaging content or creative content? What do you want?
You think about it this way, right? I could hire a videographer that filmed Avatar.
Yeah.
Some crazy film.
I was about to say Game of Thrones, but yeah, Avatar works.
Game of Thrones, whatever, you know? They might cost me, I don't know, $300K a year to hire, maybe more. Now, if I didn't tell that person how to create viral content and I said, go post my Instagram for me, just post whatever you think is the most creative work you've ever done, I get 20K views. But my videos get 300,000 views, maybe some, like minimum, like for when I post sometimes. Why is that? Because it's not engaging. It's not the audience. It's not what they care. That's why it's almost funny sometimes with my content. The content that goes very viral is literally shot with my iPhone. Yeah. It's not shot with a DSLR. It's not shot with a mirrorless camera like a professional videographer. Sometimes those videos will do well, but it's shot with a iPhone camera because I understand engagement. Yeah. I don't prioritize creativity. I understand engagement. Sometimes creativity helps with engagement. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to be very thoughtful about what people are watching your content for and why, and you realize it actually doesn't matter if I film with a camera. I can film with an iPhone.
So recommend us 3 tech movies.
I like We Crash. It's actually a series about WeWork. Yeah. I think it's really well filmed. Actually, I really like it. Not a lot of people know about it. Silicon Valley Show is a classic. Yeah. A lot of people who have seen my content have seen Silicon Valley Show. And then I think the last one would be maybe, these are brand new, but actually no, Silicon Valley Show. Another one is called Super Pumped. Mm-hmm. It's about Uber. And I think Uber has a fascinating story, especially around Travis Kalanick, the founder. He's a pretty fascinating guy. I mean, all these big CEOs are, not all of them, but they tend to be pretty interesting characters. So I think Super Pumped is a good one to watch and to see Travis Kalanick and how he thought about everything.
So do you see a lot of brands like Louis Vuitton and all pumping more money with the creators rather than the movie stars?
Louis Vuitton has, I think it's Louis Vuitton, but maybe I'm wrong. It did a big marketing stunt in New York. They had this massive, incredible structure. I think it was like a bag or something in New York. And it was like some guerrilla marketing tactic, right? Okay. Think about how much content was generated about that from this
one bag.
Just from this insane bag that they showcased. Beautiful bag. Tons and tons of videos, right? And so investing in things that are likely going to create a ton of content, a lot of like word of mouth is gonna people spreading messages, is really important in terms of
What is the definition of viral content for you?
shareability. This is particularly the case for Instagram.
Yeah.
It changes across platform. Instagram for them, it's like sharing content, like wanting to show something. I think viral content to me is about discussion.
Yeah.
It's about you see something, you discuss it with someone. Did you see that video where the CEO laid someone off with ChatGPT? Didn't even talk to them. What? It creates conversation.
Yeah.
That's viral content.
What are the platforms you are targeting for your social media presence right now?
Instagram and X and YouTube as well. I think is very important. I think honestly all these platforms are important. But
how many revenue streams do you target from your business?
Well, right now, my main revenue streams are, they're pretty simple. But like, I guess for the future, I have like very specific revenue streams I would want to have.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I think the revenue stream from sponsorships should actually be a very small part of my main revenue streams. I think if it's a large part, I've done something wrong from a business perspective because I don't think it's very sustainable. But I would think about revenue streams as number one is products that I personally have built and I've launched and subscriptions, so MOR.
Are we talking digital products or
digital products?
Digital products.
Yes.
Okay.
So recurring revenue monthly from a digital product. I would think about two as affiliates. I'd be like, how do I have a good affiliates system? So like, for example, someone, some person uses a product that I use that, maybe like I refer someone to a bank or something, right? How do I put these affiliate systems in place so that I can also generate revenue from that? So affiliate would be a big one. 3 would be events. I think there's a lot of money in events, especially for tech. So it'd be like, how can I start some kind of an event series?
Online or offline? What kind of events?
In person. I would say in-person events.
Okay.
So like, what's an event series I could start? I do a lot of actually events. Even today, I have like a dinner series I run where I bring investors, creators, and founders together.
Like a speed dating setup?
Yes, but very focused on like invite only, very high quality people. I've been hosting it all over the world, and I have some sponsors. Actually, this is something I've worked with closely with Solana Foundation on. So I like the in-person events as well. I think that'd be cool. There'd be one aspect of revenue from events. Now, I don't think it would be a huge thing, but it would be an interesting business to have. Then, I mean, those are a couple already, but
4 of them already, yeah.
Yeah, 4 of them ready. I think that's some examples of how I would think about revenue.
Suggestion: who should not get into content creation?
I think the problem is seeing someone do something that's viral and trying to copy it, but not really understanding why it went viral.
Yeah.
So for example, someone trying to copy MyTechCEO content or the European kid, it's like, why would you go viral? Like, for example, like look at the tech account, right?
Yeah.
In a certain, there's a bit of a moat around it, right? You need to be in tech. You need to understand good tech jokes.
Yeah.
You need to be a good actor. You need to play a role. Yeah. I look like a CEO type, and you got to spot on to get all these things to do my content.
Yeah.
It's not a very easy thing. So it's like, instead, it's thinking to yourself, okay, what am I uniquely good at? What do I have to share? What is my skill set? If I'm doing entertainment, what role am I playing? What am I trying to target? It's being very thoughtful about content. People that are not thoughtful about content are the ones that shouldn't be making content.
What are the top 3 trends in social media marketing or digital marketing which we are going to see in the next 1 year, in 2025?
More, or like I said earlier, founder-led businesses that are like, the founder is making content and is fueling the business, so the face of the brand. Obviously, the easiest example is Elon Musk for this, right? He's the face of Tesla. He's the face of Neuralink. He's the face of the Boring Company. All these companies, right?
And now the face of US as well.
For example, too. I mean, now one of the like very political faces. He's also, like, side point, Elon Musk is probably one of the best, in a certain sense, content creators out there, right? He's actually a content creator. Like, he's putting out content. Now, people don't perceive him as that because he has businesses that
He
he's feeling
creates
them to.
news, not content.
Yes, but I mean, he is
He writes
influential.
something, the Bitcoin goes crazy.
Yeah, that's
He
true.
buys companies for fun. He buys
Yeah.
media houses for fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
So we're talking about the top 3 trends in social media marketing. We spoke about the first one, which is founder-led businesses,
Yeah,
where founders are gaining trust for their brands.
sure.
And what are the second and the third?
Okay, I think honestly, we're gonna see like way more brands
Yeah.
working with creators. I mean, we're already seeing this right now, but I think we're gonna see way more brands thinking about also like how do they bridge, like how do they bring together creators, right? So you, for example, an example right now is you have Mr. Beast who did this. I think it's like over $100 million deal with Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So Amazon Prime is basically just funding him to do his thing. And I think we'll see more companies doing that as well, but also more companies saying like, hey, here are like the best creators in this space. Okay, we're gonna fund you to do whatever you want to do, and then just organically integrate our brand into your content. This is what I'm doing right now with MyTechCEO. I'm doing big marketing stunts with companies, and I'm not being paid $100 million, but a little less. But
Not yet.
Not yet. And I'm doing these big stunts. My key point is funding and money for like creative, like letting influencers finding ways to integrate their brand with what influencers are doing already. They have their brand, they have their format, they have what works. Brands are just coming to them and saying, we want part of this.
Yeah.
That's like the second thing. We're going to see more and more of this. And then the third thing we're going to see is more and more opportunities go to people that are putting themselves out there. I think people that are like dead silent on social media have a lot less of an advantage than people that are very active and like putting themselves out there. So just opportunities, honestly, will come.
More opportunities, more people turning as content creators.
Yeah, more opportunities, more people knowing about your story.
Only 2% of the content creators in the world globally have a monetized channel for themselves. What do you think is the key reason for that?
I think a lot of times people are creating content with, I think it's all about what content you're creating.
Yeah.
And I think why, and I think also sometimes some channels don't necessarily need to be monetized, you know? But I think that most people haven't been able to monetize because they're also not very strategic with it.
They're not very consistent with the approach?
Yeah, and also strategic as well. And I mean, I say this from just my experience of being on Instagram and even TikTok, but like a lot of the content that I see sometimes is just silly content. It's like silly, stupid content. Now, I'm not saying that my content is not silly or stupid, but I'm saying that like at least with my content,
some logic somewhere around there.
It's some logic. Like I have to think about my videos. Like
Yeah.
I can't say random stuff. Like I have to research my videos, and they might be silly, but they're based on real things that are happening in tech. And so the key thing I think to myself about is like, is it valuable to have content? Like I'm not trying, especially this is more like the LA type of people, right? There's a lot of these people like LA type people that are creating content and like being like just doing like funny, interesting like content around like a very specific random topic. Like you're not gonna make money from that. Like don't expect to make money from creating content about like a very like, I don't know, just like some stupid
a man
topic.
eating crab in 5 seconds.
Yeah, like be strategic. For example, like if you know, there's a guy who's creating content, I think out of a van or something, and like living in a van. And there's a lot of these creators. But okay, that, however, is a good opportunity for van, like caravan, like these like livable vans to do sponsorships with him because he has a very interesting, unique audience. So if you're strategic with it and you're very very thoughtful and you have a niche audience, like then you'll make money from it. But if you're approaching your brand and just doing things without really being thoughtful around it and being smart, then you're not going to monetize because there's no reason you should.
A lot of time we as content creators, when we start creating content, we go through phases in our life for a creative block. Okay, how do you come out of it?
I think the best way to come out of it is like sometimes you do need to take a step back, like just you don't want to burn yourself out. But I think it's like good conversations with people. I think at least for me, I get so many ideas. I'm inspired by speaking to people. I think the quality of the conversations you have or the quality of the ideas that you have, and that translates to how good your content is.
Europe has a lot of clubs coming in which are called the offline club.
Okay.
Wherein you go there for 2-3 days, no gadgets, just vegan food.
Vegan food specifically?
Yeah, no gadgets, vegan food. You have to just read, write, and talk to human beings. Do you think that's a trend which is going to pick up in the US or the Middle East in future?
Yeah, I think so.
Digital detox?
I think it's different. I think trends pick up I think it sounds like a trend that could pick up.
It sounds like an oxymoron coming from a content creator about digital detox.
I'm sure there's so many content creators that are doing those clubs too. They need it the most.
So, what are the tech habits you follow which somebody else can emulate to grow organically online?
I think the main thing I think about is like when you're going through social media is to be very thoughtful about what gets your attention. So
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss, I think once said this, I don't know if it was in a podcast or a book, but he said he like created a whole catalog of all the ads he saw and he would like build a catalog of those ads. And he's like, why did that catch my attention? And I think in the same way today when I'm on social media, I'm thinking whenever I see something that's good, I always like save it. And then I go to people that are thinking about creating content and I say to them, they might share an idea for how they have. And then I say to them, okay, hey, this video did really well. Why did this work?
Yeah.
I can get a sense for why this worked. How do you take this concept and you can do something, or the format, for example, and you can do something similar with that?
Yeah.
So for me, it's about being very aware of what's out there, just thinking, building a mind map of everything.
True.
And then being able to pinpoint, okay, if I have an idea, how do I take what's worked and then apply it for what I want to do?
A lot of content creators create a bank of the content before they start posting online. Do you create something like that?
Totally. I have like a whole page. I have used this software called Notion, which is like I have like a whole database of like ideas. I have separate sections about like specific companies I want to do sponsorships with and like video ideas for them. I have a section around videos I want to do around, like I organize everything. I think the quality of ideas is very important. And for me, I'm constantly thinking of ideas. The thing that I struggle with is good organization.
Yeah.
And it's like, also I spend a lot of I spend a lot of mind power thinking of good ideas. But what's really important is the ability to, like I said earlier, like mind mapping things, right? It's like to put things in the right categories so you can instantly, when you have the right opportunity to execute an idea. For example, let's say I think of a really good idea for to do with a self-driving car. You know, Waymo, for example, it's a self-driving car company, right? They reach out to me, they say, hey, we want to sponsor a video. Okay, I thought of all these ideas to do with like robots that could be really funny, like self-driving cars. Okay, how do I give the proposal to them and take these ideas? So organization, I think, is very important for every creator, at least for me, especially being in tech.
You mentioned an important part in that is creating the proposal. How do you decide the pricing of your proposal?
I just keep pushing the price more and more and more. I just see what I can get.
More is always good.
Yeah, because I think it's also a psychological thing, right? Like you sometimes, especially I noticed this when I was like younger. I was like 21 or so something, but like I was running a recruiting agency and I was always like very careful about what I was charging. I was like, I don't think I can charge that much.
Yeah.
But I think especially younger people, like they hold themselves back from charging their fair price.
Yeah.
I think you got to charge. Like you got to learn to. I think the best. This is my own advice. I don't know if I don't think I learned this, but I think my own advice I give myself is feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Charging that much. Not to the point where you're like, this is ridiculous, but feel a little bit uncomfortable.
And it's okay to say no to some business, right?
It's good to say no.
It's good to say no.
Because like sometimes, look, it depends on your situation. I'm not saying say no to a deal and like that makes you like go broke. I'm saying like it's good to have values, to have standards, especially with people you work with. You want to make sure you do good work.
Yeah.
So say no if it's not the right deal.
We spoke about the importance of distribution of content. Do you use any AI-based platforms for the distribution of your content?
For distribution specifically, no. I post everything myself, And
Yeah.
that is very much for a specific reason, because I think it sometimes will affect the content and the engagement if you get software to post it for you.
Okay.
Because
So
I
the
think,
algorithm recognizes that you are using an outside software for
Exactly.
posting the content.
yes, and also like geolocation is important.
Okay.
So if I post something in San Francisco on TikTok, it'll recognize that I'm in San Francisco and it pushes it first to my local audience. So the algorithms, it's all about the algorithms. What do the algorithms place an emphasis on?
The formal education or the school education has transformed a lot in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Do you think it is time AI and learning how to prompt AI should be part of the formal curriculums in the schools?
Absolutely. I think I'm very concerned with just how slow
Yeah.
school systems move. Also the government too, how slow the government moves. I see this, it's almost sad,
Yeah.
how slow things move. The truth is, in the US, in San Francisco, and on platforms like Twitter, you see 12 months into the future.
Yeah.
And then you go and you travel and you see what people are thinking in other parts of the world, and you realize, wow,
Yeah.
these people are moving so slow.
Yeah.
And the thing that is terrifying is that people don't realize how fast this technology is moving and how exponentially radical these technologies are enabling people to do.
True.
We're going to see wealth that is built in the future to unfathomable degrees.
True.
Sam Altman has this thing where he says a one-person AI-run company,
Yeah.
one person will have billions of dollars,
Yeah.
and they'll have built a company by themselves. I don't think people in Europe, in Portugal,
In India,
and
in China,
India
they're not
are
looking at
fully
this.
aware of
Yeah.
what is happening. And I think it is so crazy to me. So I think my fundamental thing here is I'm someone who lives in a place where I see the future and I'm seeing how fast it's coming.
Yeah.
But there are people out there and there are governments that are not moving fast enough at all.
Yeah.
I'm worried people are not going to be able to catch up.
So should parents not send their kids to the schools and rather than have them be online?
I think parents should be catching up too. I think parents should be learning as much as they can about everything going on, and making sure that they're staying very active and aware, because who knows what your kid will have.
If you had to choose 5 places to travel and learn amazing things, what would those 5 places be?
I think actually 2 cities that I admire the most in the US are just New York and San Francisco.
Okay.
It's very simple. I'll just keep it at that. New York is, you have, not just technology, but you have the finance capital,
Yeah.
one of the most interesting finance capitals. You have real estate, you have all these huge, massive businesses there. And then for San Francisco, you have the major tech hub. You're seeing,
Yeah.
I said, you're seeing years into the future and what is about to come. Very inspiring places.
But all the policies are coming from Washington.
That's true. Yes. But even though the government is moving slow, you still have what's interesting about SF is you have the innovators.
Yeah.
You have the visionaries that are out there moving fast and nudging you and saying, hey, this is going to be huge.
Okay.
So you're learning. And then I think China is very important as well. China is a good example of a very different government and culture, but a country that is moving just as fast, if not faster, than the US right now. So I think in China is interesting as well.
How do the investors in Silicon Valley or the techpreneurs in Silicon Valley look at India as a destination for the next 3 years?
I think it's a really important place. I think there's tons of I myself am very bullish on India.
Yeah.
I'm also just seeing the talent that is in India building right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know too much about the general consensus and narrative from investors in the US, but I think there's some really major tech in India, especially I'm not sure, even maybe Hyderabad, there's a lot of specific cities, but I meet a lot of very successful, interesting founders from India that are really building amazing things. So
Okay.
I'm generally pretty excited about India.
Great. Good to know that. Do you believe in the power of manifestation?
Yes, I do.
Share me an instance where you manifested something and that became true for you.
I've always seen like my success in my future from like a young age, and I've always like had this like intuition, like this like vision of my life like turning out the way I want it to be, and like being as successful as I want it. And I've also been so like, one of the things I've always been so like obsessed with growing up is just like I've always had this like fire in my belly and this like hunger to want to achieve. So for me, I'm always thinking about that. You know, I'm like, will I be successful? Will I be this person I've envisioned myself of being? But I feel like I will.
Jason, do you believe in unconditional love?
I think if you dive deeper, and I think if you're very spiritual, I guess my key point I'm trying to make here is true love is unconditional, is loving everything, no matter what it comes, any shape or form.
So what we've done over here is, we as a team manifested something beautiful for you.
Amazing.
I'm going to share that manifestation with you. Close your eyes and then open this ribbon.
Okay.
Now you can open your eyes. This is it.
Okay.
This is just a manifestation from our side. The way you want to impact the life of so many people who come from technology, who understand wit, who understand humor, and acknowledge your contribution. So we believe in future, in the next 10 months specifically, we will be in a situation where this could be a reality for you.
I love that. I love that. This is a great format.
Yeah.
This is very amazing.
You can tell them what are you wanting to accomplish by September 2025.
And specifically what is written here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go ahead.
So, certificate proudly awarded Jason Yeager for his extraordinary accomplishment in organizing the largest tech summit in Dubai, held in September 2025. I love that. I think this is amazing. I really like this. I think it's very inspiring too, because looking at this certificate, it reminds me that I put out all this content, and I have, I reach millions and millions of people, but it reminds me of like, and then especially the recently what we had, the conversation we just had like recently, which was talking about, for example, how fast our government's moving, how we're educating people about technology.
True.
It reminds me, it's important to think about how can I build more community, bring people together, and think about the impact, which is one of the things I think deeply about with impact with MyTechCEO, which is very clearly encapsulated in the certificate, is showcasing people this world. And there's a reason why I showcase people the world of tech, because I think it's a space that is like one of the most impactful spaces in society. So I think seeing this is a good indication of like what I can do to really have the right impact I want.
Yeah. Today's episode tells us clearly that if you are able to find your niche at a very early age and establish a trust-based relationship with your audience, fall in love with your camera unconditionally. It may not be a very high-end camera, but your own phone's camera. You can create a brand out of yourself before you turn 25 and have lofty goals and even achieve them. Do share your questions and feedbacks in the comment, and we will ensure that we act upon your feedback soon.